If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch. Okay.
Hey everybody. We got some metal for you on
this
fucking horrible day in the United States of America, where we gotta ask our elementary school teachers to fucking put their lives on the line for the kids that they love, that they're trying to give an education to. All right, guys. Here we go. This is the band. I think.
Kind of looks like Divine. It's DVNE.
DVN.
The name of the song is Towers. This is from the Epic Underground. If you're wondering what the Epic Underground is, it's an alliance. It's one of our alliances. If you want to know more about the alliances, watch the commercial. Okay. So the Epic Underground, this is Epic Underground's the winner of the Album of the Year tournament for 2021. Here's an excerpt from an article about the band. Scottish progressive post-metal quintet Dvne have been heavily influenced by Frank Herbert's work. Starting out as an instrumental 3-piece, the band was trying to figure out what message they wanted to get across through their music. While coming up with the name, it felt like we were trying to tell a story. And the best kind of story with us would be something out of this world, explains singer Victor Vicart, recounting the band's beginnings. Drawn in by Frank Hertz, mysticism and mythos, the band took the name Dune before changing it to DVNE to avoid any confusion with the book. Their first EP, Progenitor, fused a classic desert rock feel with elements of the sub-Saharan bands such as Tin Erwin. In 2017, the band released Asheran, a record that toyed with themes of ecology and nature, mirroring the cli-fi, which is climate fiction, principles within Dune, while retaining a unique narrative of their own. The band's latest LP, Etemem Ekna, takes it a step further. With Dune, you imagine the desert, the freeman, the spice, and you feel like you're somewhere in the Sahara, says Vicart. The album is a healthy mix of real-world symbolism and science fiction, drawing upon narratives and imagery steeped in Middle Eastern heritage and fantastical lineage. It's an album worthy of Dune's legacy.
Yes, and this thing is, I think we got it. All right. What's the title of the song?
Divine. Towers.
Towers.
Epic Underground.
All right,
What's the
from
title
the Epic Underground, which focuses, according to Negative Vibes, on progressive metal, power metal, etc. So that's a commercial. So if you want to be in an alliance, little as $1, and you want to focus on progressive metal, power metal, etc., this is your crew. Okay, here we go, guys. Here's Dvne Towers. Let's do it. Sounds like Nurgle. That was Dune. What was the title of the song?
That one was called Towers.
Towers.
Yeah.
I have a running... Okay, so they said this was cli-fi. Is that what you call it? Climate fiction. That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's like...
I've never heard of it, but it just sounded funny to me.
It would be science fiction with climate change as probably like the central... Because we don't know what the ramifications of climate change are going to be like 100 years from now. So it's like, it's all focused around theoretically what the world would look like in a climate change. Can you go back real quick? Because
what am I going back to?
Go back to the summary of the song real quick.
Right here.
Did they say specifically like this song was cli-fi, or was it the band itself?
The band in 2017, the band released Asheran, a record that toyed with themes of ecology and nature, mirroring the cli-fi climate fiction principles within Dune.
Okay. Takes a step further. With Dune, you imagine that desert, the freedom, the spice. You kind of feel like you're somewhere in the Sahara. The album is a healthy mix of real-world symbolism and science fiction drawn upon narrative and imagery. Middle Eastern heritage, fantastical lineage. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. So, I first I agree with Vlad, because that mid passage after hearing it, that middle part was crazy. It was really, really good, and that middle part didn't have a lot of lead in it, but the rhythm itself was kind of melodic and inspiring. It's hard to say. Lyrically, that's why I wanted to check on you, because I wanted to make sure that my I have an interpretive grid as to what I think he's saying.
Okay.
But before I talk about what he's saying, the guitar work was crazy, and like this.
Yeah.
For the first two songs, Kel, you got up and left, but Kel was like, "Holy shit!" Sori gave it a 9. I think that's the highest you've ever rated like a black metal song.
I know. Shout out to the True Cult for still sticking with me.
So, like, the guitar was so thick, and there were so many subtleties. I think Archero pointed this out. There was like some keyboard, but they were really subtle with it. I love atmosphere. It's kind of hard to tell. Like, I love atmospheric stuff, but I don't like when the keyboard is like completely dominant. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like that, because at the end of the day, for me, metal is about the guitar. To me, it's about the guitar and the drum. So I don't like it when the synth is featuring, but if it's complementing and if you do it well, it goes really, really good. So that
Okay.
So it's that part of the guitar part that I really like. It was mega layered, which I really, really love. I love the lyrics, and I love. I was like, the first two songs, I'm like, I'm really glad I have these headsets, because these headsets really get you, like, they parse out everything so you can hear it at the same time and blend it at the same time. It's really, really good. So thank you to whoever got me. I think it was Zonia got me these. Okay. What about you? I know you're not a big guitar person, because that's not your role in the band. You just care about the vocal. All you vocalists are all the same.
Yeah. I mean, when the song was first started, I was like, I don't know. And then, I don't know, I kind of kept floating back and forth on how I felt about the song. And then, I don't know which part it was. There was a part in there that all of a sudden I was really vibing with. I was like, okay, this is really getting good. And then, I don't know, it didn't take super long and the song was kind of over. So I don't hear, and again, you know, I had some awesome headphones like Vin had, and they died on me, and so I'm stuck. These are children's ones. They're like $15 kids headphones. So I feel like I don't get that experience of what you're just talking about, because everything kind of blends together a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the individual sound. But at the same time, like you say, I'm not a guitarist and all that, so I don't individualize everything even in my mind. It's so funny. I had a dream that you were playing the guitar, and we were like with a group of other people, and you were showing them the different stuff, and then they were like, "Sorry, you should play too." And I was like, this is me. C, D, G.
Hey, you could be a Christian. You could be a Christian radio star.
Yay. Okay, so what did you get from the lyrics?
March through ghost cities. March forth through ghost cities, enforced edification. The river of exile deserts the ashes, leaves lifeless debris. So just to me, it looks like the setting for some dystopian world where I had in my mind like Manhattan, because like Manhattan at night really is an experience. You guys, your church group went there or something?
I went with my friends.
Did you go to 42nd Street?
I think so.
At night, Times Square?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely in Times Square.
Yeah,
it was so bright. There was so many people.
If you want to talk about a testament to human achievement and human ascension, whether...
Yeah, everything's awake. It's completely alive.
Whether you want to look at it from a biblical perspective as human beings being in the image and dominating the earth, or you look at it evolutionary as far as like our ascent, Manhattan, it's a small compact area with these massive buildings and lights and there's so many things vying for your attention.
Yeah.
That it's just complete and total sensory overload.
Yeah.
So I imagined, okay, what if this was Manhattan, like a post-apocalyptic Manhattan type situation? Okay. March forth through ghost cities.
Yeah.
Enforced edification, the river of exiles deserts the ashes, leaving lifeless debris. A vista of footprints spread before us, a pilgrimage of indentured spirits. We cling to the promise of gifts we shall never receive for the unborn. So basically, because we've completely fucked up the earth, right?
Yeah.
So now the next generation, which we're supposed to pass the baton on to them and hand them this wonderful place called Earth, we cling to the promise of gifts we shall never receive for the unborn.
Jeez.
So it's like there's always a
this
promise.
Is what we'll give them.
There's always a promise to the next generation that we're gonna, at some point we're gonna hand the world off to them, right? At some point we're gonna hand the world off to the next generation. There's only one problem. We fucked up the environment so much that it's pretty, a vista of footprints spread before us, a pilgrimage of indentured spirits. Like, that's crazy. Like, indentured servitude is essentially slavery. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, the Bible makes no real distinction between being an indentured servant and a slave, which has massive ramifications on things like minimum wage and things like that, but I'm not going to go there. But you should... The minimum the minimum wage we have right now is ridiculous, and it's basically indentured servitude and slavery. And no, it's not as bad as the transatlantic slave trade, but it's still fucking slavery.
Yeah.
Somebody working for $7.25, they cannot survive in this society. Even now, the fight for 15, that was in 2016. The fight for 15 now really needs to be the fight for 1850. But again, the point is,
I agree.
When you've constructed a society like that, and hyper-capitalistic societies create these insane contrasts where in the same area you can have massive buildings and massively rich people, and you also have massively poor people who are the indentured slaves of both of those people.
Yeah.
And during the whole COVID situation, like, that was one of the things that Jimmy Dore is pulling his hair out over. COVID hurt a lot of people economically, but for the top 1%, it made them doubly and triply richer than they were before. Because now, as we're talking about Brandon, people can't afford to buy houses. Now all these rich people are buying the houses and then renting them so that you can kind of have a complete fiefdom. So if that continues, you're eventually going to get to a tipping point. One, with the environment, right?
Yeah.
And then two, with the fact that you're not going to get human beings to participate in a system like that without some sort of revolt. People are going to start eating the rich, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, you end up in this crazy hellscape. So we cling to the promise of gifts we shall never receive for the unborn. So now everybody that's beneath that They're just working. The environment's ruined. So you're going to have nothing to pass on to your kids. So you're basically breaking the promise to the next generation, because the way it's supposed to work is that you accumulate capital, land, whatever. You work, and then you pass that off, and now the next generation is starting ahead. Mm-hmm. They accumulate, and then but because of what we're doing to the planet and our economic systems and the desire for always getting bigger, whatever, now there's no future for these people. The average American, I was reading Forbes a couple of years ago, dies in like $18,000 of debt.
Oh, easily.
So it's that promise for the future.
Minimum.
Forget it.
And a big, huge portion of that is because of Medicare for all. We need Medicare for all. If we had that, so many people would not be in that situation.
Yeah, you know what else Medicare for all would do? Maybe we could get some mental help for these fucking people who are going out there killing people randomly out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. That would be great if we could get these people the mental health they need. Mm-hmm.
Especially
so that we
now.
don't have to call our teachers to be...
Especially now, because like there's a whole generation of kids that were at a weird point to have to go through COVID. And a lot of mental illness. Isn't this a second 18-year-old that's happened within a short span of time? Like, that means that they were like 16 when COVID was hitting, 15 and a half. Now they're, you know what I mean? Like, right at that tipping point in your teen years. And it's like, oh, man. Try to get an appointment for any of that stuff. If you need an appointment, they book out 6 to 8 months. I was talking to one girl. She said that she couldn't get an appointment. They were booking out 6 to 8 months just to be able to see somebody for counseling. And they said that because I don't know why COVID would change that. Like, can't you just do virtual? Like, why would that change something?
I don't know.
That's even if the person has insurance or is able to even afford going to see somebody. It's really terrible.
In Dust in Blood, Colossus... See, dust, I would say, is like the earth ruined, and then blood. Yeah,
that's exactly what I got from it, yeah.
Colossus stones birth, generations of labor ignite, distance rays off light. Gold fortune gleaming ascending, we dig out mountains to the sky flourishing. So this is just like the human ascent, which is good, but it's imbalanced, so it's creating all this destruction in the world.
We dig out mountains.
Well, that's how you get the ore and the gold and you got to dig in there. And there's a balance between us exercising dominion over the earth and simultaneously respecting the fact that the earth is our home.
Well, I think that, like, when there's you pull something out and then you plant another tree. Like, for all the trees that we're cutting down, we're replanting, when they're replanting. I think that stuff like that has to happen. Like, you have to replenish what you're taking. And, back in, Jewish, I guess it would be Jewish, they would let the land rest.
Yeah.
I don't think that we let our land rest anymore. It's just like produce. And, this maybe seeming a little off topic, but, we went to the store because Vinny wanted to have like a whole chicken for dinner. And usually I get like Purdue or whatever because it's whatever's the most. I'm looking for whatever's the least expensive. Well, they were completely sold out. The shelves were empty, and the only thing that was there was a free range one. And I pointed out to him, I'm like, look at the difference between that chicken and the ones we usually buy. And it really makes me so sad to like see that we do that to those birds. Like, obviously it was leaner and taller, where the other one was just short, and like they're so short and fat that apparently they can hardly even stand because they don't let them move around. So there's a
real ethical issue that I've been avoiding.
So have I.
With that, because obviously I believe that we are ontologically superior. I believe there's an almost an infinite gap of value between a human being and an animal. Yeah. But I can't escape from the fact that there are a couple times in the Bible where God says, I'm going to fuck you up because of the way you're treating these animals. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like, you cannot ignore that. just because we're more valuable doesn't mean they don't have any value. And some of the shit that some of these vegan animal rights people, like, you know, if you're on the right or you're Christian, like, we're supposed to pretend they're crazy, and some of them are crazy, but some of them have really solid ethical, moral arguments that, to be honest with you, I haven't really engaged with. But go ahead.
I avoid it because I know enough that I have to just completely avoid it. And the reason that I avoid it is because we don't make enough money to be able to buy the stuff that's free range all the time. I mean, right now as it is, I have to buy 5 dozen eggs for our family, once a week. That's
it's $12 now. It used to be $7.
It used to be $7, now it's $12 for that.
I said, holy shit, that's almost twice the price.
Between all the eggs that everybody eats and the baking and all the different stuff, we go through eggs like crazy. And when I look at, like, obviously when I crack the egg in the pan and it's like more of a pale color yolk, but I buy the other ones sometimes and it's like this deep orange, and I'm like, friggin', they treated those animals better, and the product is better that I'm feeding my family. Like, I feel so much better with cooking with those type of products, but it's so expensive. You can't buy a little bottle of vanilla extract without paying $15 for it. It's crazy. So I just think that
this inflation is insane. I mean, those eggs are almost twice the price now.
I know. I
couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and I sent the picture to you, like, when I left the grocery store, like, there was so little in my cart, and it was $150. I snapped a picture and sent it to you. I was like, $142, Vin.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast, but the mercy of the wicked is cruel. And the fact of the matter is, it's a documented fact that young people, like, that's a major warning sign of, like, a school shooter. Like, honestly, like, somebody who's just randomly terrible to animals, that's a bad sign. Okay.
There was this guy that, you know how they always say, like, well, I don't know, you hear both. They'll say, like, it's the quiet ones you have to look out for.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like, I always heard, like, if you find a nice quiet guy, you know, that'll be good for you, whatever. Well, there was this guy that was very quiet, and he seemed nice enough or whatever. And I was watching him, and I was like, well, you know, I guess maybe I could consider. I always felt like it was just it's a crapshoot with all these people. And anyway, so I was, like, going to consider possibly. I was watching this guy, though, and he was over by this cat. He was petting the cat. I was like, oh, and he's good to animals. Well, the cat scratched him, and, like, he, like, shoved that cat into the corner when the cat did it, like, very aggressively. I was like, change of plans. Nope. I'm like, that cat doesn't even know who you are, and you're just invading its space, and the cat's supposed to do what? Let you with your white privilege. Anyway, go ahead.
Shout out to the big homie, Will. It's his first.
Oh my gosh, Sadie.
It's his first one.
This is baby number 7. I have no space nor time for chickens. Can you imagine?
Yet we're gonna get a cat.
Yeah, but that's different. The cat takes care of itself. My sister was literally telling me, because my sister has chickens, and she's like, she got somewhere, and she's like, her daughter was like, there's poop all down my dress. Chicken poop, because the chickens, they just friggin' poop all over the yard. At least the cat's gonna go in the litter box. So she's like, I told her, go roll in the grass. I don't have time to take care of that.
I really like this line right here. Brick by stone, by bold libation, ziggurats, gilded. I'm assuming this meant gilded. Is it gilded?
Gilded is what mine says.
Gilded ossuary told in grand sepulchre. Basically.
Grand sepulchre.
Basically.
Whoa, that's a pretty crazy. Okay, yeah, explain that.
So ziggurat is a temple in the ancient Near East, which is where he got the Middle Eastern stuff from. Remember they said there's like a Middle Eastern combined with the Cli-Fi? So. Yeah. A ziggurat was a tower/temple. Most scholars believe, and I agree with them, that the Tower of Babel or Babel, where they said, you know, we're going to reach up to heaven, was actually a ziggurat. And a ziggurat was a temple structure, and the idea was that you were trying to replicate a mountain because the gods all hung out on the mountains, on the high places. Especially in the Bible, you hear high places, high place that. So it was kind of a man-made constructed mountain, but at the tip of the ziggurat, you were then interfacing with the gods, basically. And so if they're going on the biblical angle, it works really nicely with the theme of this song, because it's talking about human ingenuity gone awry.
Yeah.
Basically, human beings coming together to create these ingenious, moments of technology that are great in isolation, but because the people doing it have bad motives, it becomes this horrible thing. So you go from almost this religious dedication to doing more and building higher, which is how I interpret Brick by Stone by Bold Libation, to it turns into a ziggurat, but then it becomes an ossuary, and ossuary is what was part of the burial rituals, like especially during the time of Christ. And then it turns into a grand sepulcher. So if you think about like 9/11, where you had this great building and this great monument to American whatever, it becomes a giant, basically, tombstone, basically. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was a really cool way to talk about, human ingenuity, what it's doing to the planet, how we're inevitably dooming ourselves, that type of thing. And I really love the video stuff. Okay.
I liked the album cover also.
Yeah, that does look really nice. What do you give this song?
Okay. This is a little bit off topic, but still on topic, I think. Last night you had put on, what is that? Zacchaeus? What's that guy's name? He talks about the DMT stuff and all that.
Terrence McKenna.
Yeah, him. And he was talking about birth, and the way that he explained it was so, like, strange and interesting. And he was saying, like, you've created a whole world where you are, and then you get forced out of that world, which we talk about a lot, but you end up somewhere else. And then sometimes when he's talking, seriously, I'm laying there, I'm pregnant, I can't have anything, I'm not even sipping on wine, but when he's talking, sometimes I feel kind of like I'm in a trance.
Terrence McKenna, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to any Terrence McKenna, but he has a sort of rhythm to his cadence when he talks that is very bizarre. It's very entrancing.
It like sucks me in. I either get completely entranced by the topic where I'm like picturing what he's saying, or I fall asleep. It's one of the two.
Terrence McKenna is a real trip to listen to. Yeah. Because I truly believe he had something else going on.
Oh,
I really,
for sure.
He figured out. I haven't really developed this thought yet, but essentially what I have in my mind is like there is this border land between the physical and the spiritual, and there's a doorway, and he's found a way to. I feel like Terrence McKenna always had one foot in the spiritual, supernatural world and one foot in this world.
Yeah.
So when he talks, you don't really know what's happening to you, but he's doing.
He's talking from the door frame.
It's impossible. You just have to listen to him. He's got a 7-hour one, which is basically like the history of the world. Terrence McKenna is a guy that really popularized DMT and all that shit.
It's very interesting.
Way before Joe Rogan.
But anyway,
he died of a brain issue, and
really,
was it related to DMT or not? I don't know. But go ahead.
How old was he?
40. He was young. Very, very, very young. Very, very young.
Weird.
Very young.
Weird. Okay, so anyway, so when he was talking about it, like, he was basically making it seem like, which we've all talked about. Like, if you were a baby in the womb and you were going to get thrown out of the womb in the dramatic fashion that it happens, like, you probably wouldn't want to do that. But then, again, I don't know what was his thoughts and what was mine, but, like, when the child enters the world, obviously we're talking about when a child enters the world into a loving family, like, it's received into arms of love. And like, like the mother takes the child and she's holding the baby and nursing the baby, and the father's looking over the shoulder, waiting for his opportunity to get that little bundle in his arms, but understanding she just went through everything to get there. And so like just that experience, and that like what the baby was loved inside the womb but the baby didn't feel the arms around it and that warmth of the mommy skin and stuff, because you don't know warmth until you know cold. So when the baby's in the womb, they don't feel the cold. They're just always in the
neutral.
warmth. Yeah, it's just good all the time. So then it comes out, it's like cold, the baby's screaming, and then they're wrapped up in the bundle and everything. But I was thinking, like, because sometimes I find the concept of death to be so, like, a little bit repulsive, like when I was talking to my mother, she said that when my grandmother passed away, she said I was glad when she passed, because she said she labored for so long. I said, what do you mean labored? She said she struggled, like she was just, I said, like delivery? And she said, yeah, she was struggling so much at the end with breathing, and with your body is like shutting down and you're still there. And it just sounded so terrible. And then I thought to myself, oh, right. But if it's like that, when the baby enters the world, like the baby went from the womb to the world, and in the world there's more experiences, more love, more people. And I thought, wow, like if you follow that concept into death, and then you labor as you die, and obviously, like, our belief system is that there is a world after this one, and then you enter that one, and a lot of us believe, well, they went on to be an angel, you know what I mean? Like, so all those people that went on before, like, if they're all waiting on the other side, and then you're ushered into that realm, like, you would look at this realm like looking in the womb, like, you was so lonely there, So I don't know, just the way that he was talking, just kind of, and then this song, something about this song kind of like brought me back to that space where he was kind of talking about that. I'm giving this one an 8.9.
The solid 9 for me. Don't go anywhere, guys.
What did you give the last song? Do you remember?
9.4, I think.
It was a 9. Yeah, okay. All right.
Don't go anywhere, guys. We got more metal for you coming up. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go.